Hello YouTube, today's video presentation is going to cover the Mosin Nagant S&K scope mount. The particular scope mount that I'm referring to is this one here. This is actually part number 4465. Now with this particular scope mount, what I like about it, that it is an all steel construction. It consists of essentially the base itself, which is what we see here. It also has the screw that goes down and it replaces the rear leaf spring assembly as well as the rear leaf sight, and basically it ties in here with a screw, Allen screw, on both the right as well as the left side, and then you have an Allen screw that goes down which actually fits right into the slot of the rear leaf spring. And what it does is it takes the place of that rear sight and it creates the base. Now with this particular part number 4465, it also includes the scope rings. Now there is one for the 4470 series, which is essentially the same type of setup, except the only thing is that it has a Weaver base, but no scope rings are included. Now the 4465 and the 4470 series are designed for the M44 as well as the M38 carbine rifle. This particular rifle that I have here, the sample that I have, is an M38 from the Ishevsk Arsenal, and this is actually a 1941 model. And what I did in this particular situation with this rifle, I had already tried several aluminum, inexpensive long eye relief scope sights, basically similar to this design, and the advantage was that at the time I could not find a vendor to do the turn down bolt. Of course, this is a traditional straight body bolt. Now this will be replaced with a turn down bolt. I did feature this in another video for Andrew Arnold on his turn down bolts, which I like because of the fact that it's going to the traditional sniper configuration. But this in this case is of course a straight body. As you can see, the bolt body is straight. Now what I did here is I utilized the S&K scope mount, as I mentioned before, due to the fact that I had tried several of the inexpensive $9 to $14 range aluminum bases which would not tolerate the recoil. The reason was that because of the fact that all the components were aluminum. Now one thing that I did discover in my research, and the reason I'm making this video, is if you use the bulk of the components as being steel, if you use the base itself being aluminum, that's perfectly fine. The scope rings can be aluminum, that's perfectly fine too. But when it comes to the hardware being the base and the screws, which we see on both sides that are here replacing in the pinhole sight of the rear leaf, then what it is that's what creates your strength is right there. If you use aluminum, unless it's something like a very high grade aluminum, which essentially you will pay a higher price for, it does require a higher premium, then yes, more than likely it'll tolerate the recoil. The next secret to this type of setup, which in this case is a long eye relief scope configuration, this happens to be an NC Star 2x7 scope. I believe they currently call it a Pistolero model because this is a pistol scope. However, because I am using it for long eye relief or scout sniper, then this allows this particular scope with the relief of anywhere from 7 to 9 inches from the distance. So you essentially see it the same way as if we would have the scope set up in the traditional form here above the ejection port, similar to the traditional PU type scope or the other PE type of scope or POSP configuration, which happens to go right here. Essentially you're doing the same thing on anything that's further past the bolt assembly area or the ejection port, with the exception of certain scope mounts, which again the scope is then pushed back. And in this particular case, what I did is I did use blue Loctite. I would highly recommend anytime you do any type of scope mounting that go ahead and place blue Loctite and make your adjustments as necessary. Once you've got them set, then go ahead and tighten the screws, the nuts and the bolts, whatever it is, and then let the blue Loctite cure for about 24 to 48 hours. What this is going to do is it'll help tolerate the recoil. I would not recommend using any red Loctite because then you basically make it a permanent mount. With these scope mounts that S&K is using, it allows you to go back to the traditional configuration of a Mosin rifle, utilizing still the rear leaf spring and the sight assembly, or the ladder assembly, as some people refer to it. But in any case, I wanted to do this video to cover this because of the fact that a lot of people have a misconception of what scope mounts to use and for what purpose. This again is long eye relief, meaning that I'm going to look here and still look through the scope, and it'll be the same as if it was closer. Long eye relief being that you're going to have, again, 7 to 9 inches of relief or distance between your eye and the rear lens. Now, if you want to go with the traditional rifles setup, then you're going to look at something about a 3 by 9 power configuration, which would not work in this type of setup. So I just wanted to clarify that because I see a lot of comments on threads that people say, well, I put a regular scope on a long eye relief and I cannot get any type of clarification to see clearly through the scope. You're using the wrong scope. You're using the right setup, wrong scope, or vice versa. So keep in mind, pistol scopes are used for scout sniper configuration, and this particular part, which is 4465, is, as I mentioned, includes the rings. Now, one of the advantages of using this particular scope mount is the fact that on the actual rings, you install and lock them in, but then it still gives you the option to make adjustments for the windage, as you see here. These two Allen wrenches here, and then again down here. Okay, I know I've turned the rifle upside down, but it allows you to make corrections. So the installation process is relatively easy, where you have to have some patience in doing the actual elevation and windage adjustments. That's where it's going to require either you use a red dot or a green dot sticker at a distance of probably about 30 plus feet, or if you have a laser bore sighter, that is also very helpful, especially at about 75 feet. Now, if you try to make the adjustments without using Loctite and you're trying to zero via using multiple rounds, I can assure you, you're going to use a lot of rounds. With this particular scope mount, if you set it up the way I've recommended and the way it is suggested to do it, then you will probably use anywhere from about 5 to 10 rounds, maybe even less. If you use something like a laser bore sighter or some other type of accurate method of adjusting your scope, then now you're basically making your adjustments for windage and elevation, and then you're going to fine tune it with the adjustments of the knobs. I've actually gone through over 400 rounds of ammunition trying to do it the old school way, and that didn't seem to work. Once I utilized the bore sight, it took roughly about 5 rounds to get it fine-tuned. And anytime you use any type of bore sighting, the final 0 settings will be through actual shooting, because you have to compensate for the recoil and any type of carbon buildup as a result of the powder going off in the barrel. But I just wanted to touch base with you on this and share this information on this particular assembly that I have here as a specimen, which is a good one. They do have the 4470, which has the Weaver platform, but it does not include any type of rings, and I'm not very clear as to whether or not it has any windage adjustments, but I'm sure that you can ultimately fine-tune it, because I don't have that set up, or that part. I've never worked with it. I went with something that was a little bit easier to work with, and these particular assemblies run roughly in the vicinity between $70 for the 4070, and then they also run about 80-50 on this particular 4465 part number. Now, they also have one for the M91 series, as well as the 59 series, as well as the in this configuration like this is called the 9165, which is the scope mount with the rings, which is a base as we see here, and then there's the Weaver style, which is a 9170. I'm going to include their URL on the description of the video if you want to do a little bit further research on this. I just wanted to share my opinion on this after going through, again, some spending some time, some money, and some ammunition trying to get something not to work. Eventually got something that is going to work. Put a little effort into it. You'll get some positive results, and in the end, you're going to be very, very happy with it. And now you have a Scout Sniper setup for the Mosin Nagant. If you have any questions or comments, please go ahead and contact me. I'll be more than happy to answer that. I hope this helps you in making a decision, because I know I took the time, and I just want to make that informative video to help you make a choice. Go ahead and check out my other videos. Subscribe to my channel for those that have already done so. Thanks once again, and we look forward to doing other videos for you. Thank you, and have a great day.